The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
From the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, this is Legends. I'm Jason Bryant. Prepare for a journey through wrestling's past, present, and future, as we'll hear the great stories of wrestling and success from the true legends of the sport here on Hall of Fame Legends. One of the greatest wrestlers to ever grace the collegiate mat, Tony "Babe" Gizoni, was undefeated for 7 years in high school and college, winning 108 straight matches. He became the fourth wrestler in Pennsylvania prep history to win 3 state championships, claiming titles at 101, 103, and 112 pounds from 1946 to 1948 at Washington High School. Gizoni won back-to-back NCAA Division I championships for Waynesburg College and voted the outstanding wrestler after winning at 121 pounds in 1950 when as an unseeded wrestler when he defeated the tournament's top seed, a 2-time defending national champion, in the finals. In 1951, wrestling at 123 pounds, he won the title as the number 1 seed. Trailing in the finals, Gizoni used hand control, back pressure, and a hip heist to gain a reversal and gain the upper hand in a tight match. That patented move is forever known as the Gizoni Special. As a senior in 1952, he was ruled ineligible for postseason competition after competing in dual meets and tournaments that were not approved by the NCAA Rules Committee. While at Waynesburg, Gizoni's 28 dual wins helped the Yellow Jackets to 34 consecutive dual meet victories from 1949 to 1952. Finishing his collegiate career with a 52-0 record, Gizoni's overall record for high school and college was 103 wins, 3 defeats, and 1 tie. The 3 losses and tie occurred during his freshman year of high school. Following his competitive days on the mat, Gizoni served in the Korean War and earned a Bronze Star for bravery in combat. He's a member of the Pennsylvania Wrestling Coaches Hall of Fame and the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame in Washington Green. He's also a member of the Helms Athletic Foundation Hall of Fame and the Waynesburg College Hall of Fame. A true legend in wrestling history in Pennsylvania and the NCAA, Tony Gizoni is honored as a distinguished member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, class of 2017. Now talking with distinguished member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, class of 2017, Tony Gizoni, a.k.a. Babe. And before we even get to your distinguished career, where does the nickname Babe come from?
Actually, because my mother had about 17 children, and I was one of the last ones, so that's how I got Babe. No
crazy story behind it. You're just one of the last ones, huh?
Right. Babe, Ernie, Eagle, John, Joe, Fred, Lou, Ann, Elma, there was so many brothers and sisters, and then I was the baby. I was the youngest one. That's why I got Babe.
I'm just thinking about holidays and how do you keep up with all the, once everybody started having families, how do you keep up with everybody?
I know. They're all over. They're all over. Right.
All right. You were a 2-time national champion at the Division I level, 1950, 1951. Right. Let's go back way even before that. How did you discover the sport of wrestling?
Actually, I was in 9th grade in Washington High School, and all my friends were football or basketball. They were all in some sports, and I was too small, too short for football, too little for this, too little for that. But wrestling, 88, and I was right there at 82, so that's how I got into it probably. I wanted to try to get into some kind of a sport. That was my only one where I had a chance to really do something in, because the other ones I was not the right build or person.
What did you like about it?
Oh, I liked them when I don't know. I had to do something. All my friends were doing football or basketball or whatever, track, baseball. And I couldn't do none of those because I wasn't the right size, but wrestling I was perfect because I weighed 80. In 9th grade, I think I only weighed 82 pounds. I wrestled at 88, so I had no trouble making weight or anything. But when I was a senior, then it became a problem because I rose to 112, and I had to go without, probably wouldn't do it today, eating for a day or two just to make the weight. Because I would be overweight, and then when you weigh in, I would actually, my one sister was like my mother, and she would make me eggnog, which I would, after I weighed in, I would drink the eggnog. It really wouldn't affect me, and I'd get some energy back. But I remember that, yes.
You also grew up in an area in Washington, PA,
Right.
which was a very good wrestling area.
Yeah.
A lot of great wrestlers came in after you.
Waynesburg and Canonsburg, I mean, they were well known for wrestling. Even before we got into it, Trinity, some of the schools were, up in the front for wrestling.
It's the same area now where you see the Powerade tournament is out there.
It's probably still there today, right?
The decision to go to Waynesburg, which at the time a very small college, still a very small college.
Oh, yeah, it was really. When I went there, it's like, now it's big, but then it was a university. It changed from a college to a university after I got out. And the only reason I went there is because everything was free. I had room, board, and tuition. So I didn't have to, or I wouldn't have gone to college because my family couldn't afford that. So I could go there and I'd get 3 meals a day and I had a place to sleep and a place to eat and that was it. So that's why I took it.
In that era, the Nationals were essentially an open tournament. If you wanted to go, you could. Why did you decide to wrestle at the national championships first, out in Iowa, which is a hall?
Oh, that's it. Yes, they were tough. Iowa was great, really. They were when Purdue, some colleges like Waynesburg was never heard of. Purdue and Iowa State and a few of those other ones were all heard of.
We're like, who is this Gizoni guy from Waynesburg? Where? What was it like when you stepped on the scene and started beating the guys from the big schools?
Oh, I didn't even, I was so tired and so beat up at the end of the match. One of them, I could barely walk off the mats after 7-6, that's a pretty tight match. I think I won 2 or 3 like that in the finals or semifinals, 7-6. I won by 1 point. Yeah, it was writing time. I mean, no one could have held me down for long. But the writing time, that's how I won a lot of my matches because I would go over 1 minute, you get points for each minute, so many points, a couple of points for staying on top.
Your second title, 1951, that's in Lehigh. That's at least in the same state.
Right.
That trip was a little easier to do.
Yeah.
What did you do for competition? What was the Waynesburg team like then that helped you get so good?
Actually, it was in high school, I had competition because I had some other people who were trying for my weight, and I would beat them. It'd be 7-6 or something like that, even with them. So that's how I got my competition going on. In the college, there wasn't much competition because, they would bring one person in. I had room and board and everything free, so I had to go there. Or else I wouldn't have gone to college. If I never wrestled, I wouldn't be here today. Not in this area anyway.
What's it mean for you to get the call and say, your career has been so distinguished, you're a distinguished member of the Nationals?
Yeah, I thought that was great. That's one of the biggest great feelings of my life, I would say. I never thought I'd ever make that. But, I guess most people don't think of that either. But now that I'm here, it's kind of great. Everything's fine.
Did you look back on it and go, man, I've started wrestling.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be in a Hall of Fame.
Right. Oh, heck no. I never thought of that at all. I just went out for it because that was the only thing that I could do as any sport in because I was too small for anything else.
You're wearing a Korean War veteran hat.
Yeah. I was over in Korea 1 year, 9 months, 22 days. I don't know how I got that memorized, but I was over there. I was in the tank, and I was drafted in volunteer. I'm glad I don't mind. I mean, back then you had to go, So I was drafted. I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic training, and then I went to Korea, and I was on the front line over there all the time. And we had a trench, and the tank was dug in, and my tank was hit 3 times once, but it was not burning. It would explode. I had about 6 inches of metal, so it couldn't get through that. But if they were using white phosphor like we had, I'd have been cremated. I wouldn't be here today. Because they hit the tank 2 or 3 times. But, it's about that thick, about 6 inches of metal. Couldn't get through it.
Do you ever look at your military experience and go back and say, I learned something like this because of the sport of wrestling?
Well, it might have been because I had to be tough to even do that, At nighttime, I'd have guard duty like everybody else, and at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, raining, you have to stand on that tank, on top of that tank, and just watch. So it's pretty. I didn't mind it.
What's the best thing the sport of wrestling taught you?
Oh, I guess to work hard and try to just be the right kind of a guy. I guess I don't know. And winning is great too.
Doesn't hurt. Who are your wrestling heroes?
Actually, Purdue was probably, I forget the names, but there was Purdue and a few other people that had really great wrestlers too. And but those are the ones that I won 7-6 a couple of years, but I was barely made it. One of them, I was so tired getting off the mat, they almost had to cure me. But back then, you worked hard and that's it.
Is it nice to be honored not just by the Hall of Fame, but also by your alma mater?
Oh, yeah. Right. It's wonderful. Great feeling. Who would ever think that I would be there, One of 14 or 15 kids or something like that. I guess everything just fell the right way for me. Otherwise, I don't know. I would have probably been working in a coal mine or somewhere.
Does a trip like this bring back a lot of memories that you haven't thought about in a while?
Oh, yes, for sure, yes.
How important is it that your family's here with you, too?
Beg your pardon?
How important is it that your family's also here with you?
Oh,
grandson Shatter here.
Right. That's great. Well, there's a lot more than this. I had 7 or 8 sisters and brothers and 3 or 4 or 5 sisters. But they're all, I was the youngest. Most of them were gone. I got one sister a sister and, I got 2 sisters living. That's it. All the other people are passed away. Because I was the youngest one, though.
So as you look back and you've seen war, you've seen the battles on wrestling mat.
Oh, yeah.
What advice do you have for this generation of wrestlers that are coming through?
I just do the right thing at the right time. Just work hard. Don't give up. Keep trying.
Tony Gizoni passed away just 1 month after his induction into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. We honor his memory and his legacy as a distinguished member with speeches from the testimonial brunch and the video presentation from the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Honors Weekend produced by Doc Bennett. First, the audio from the presentation, then our testimonial brunch.
I was raised in Cuddy, Pennsylvania. It's a small town outside of Pittsburgh. Whenever I was a year old, my daddy was like an old man, very old. He broke his back in the mine, so he could never stand up straight. All I knew of him is bent over and curvature of the spine. My sister became like my mother, my sister Ann, and she actually raised us.
They were very, very poor. They had like 7 kids sleep in one bed. They had 19 children, and he was the baby. That's why his name became the Babe.
Yeah, I was an average student as far as grades were concerned, and I don't know whatever made me go out for wrestling. I don't know why, when I was in 9th grade, but I did go out and I made varsity. For 4 years I had Dr. William A. Harris as my coach, and he was a great coach. Everything was by the numbers. Again and again and again and again, do it again and again. So we had to go running every Sunday. We'd meet at his house and we'd go for miles out in the country. The whole morning, all Sunday from 9 to about 3, we'd be out there running around the country. We had a positive attitude, I think, towards wrestling and winning. I didn't go out to lose. We went out to win. And the whole team was like that. Confidence. I guess I had confidence. I didn't think I was going to lose.
My dad has always been very confident in everything he's done. Teaching us, reading to us, being the best teacher, 5th grade teacher. He always did anything he said he was going to do, he did.
Babe was a role model. In 1945, in the program, there was not a state category for 88-pounders, so he just was a WPIAL champion then. But the next year, when he was a 95-pounder, he became a state champion, and he did it for 3 years. No one could hold him down, and they couldn't get up from him. He was a tremendous rider. That's one of the things that I don't know is not written about, what a good rider he was. The write-ups about him are his famous move.
Well, the Gizoni is whenever you sit out and they put their arm around your arm, and their arm is now over your arm, and turn, you go on your side all the way down to one side, and you just keep moving, and you come underneath so you can back out and get on top. And that's basically what it was. And this happened, I just did it. And then the rest of the team learned it also.
If my father wasn't such a success in wrestling, he never would have gone to college.
No.
He probably would have been, what,
Coal
a coal miner.
Then I got my scholarship to Waynesburg University. They offered me 4 years free, 3 meals a day, and my room and board. So everything, it didn't cost me a penny to go to college, which is great back then. And I had 4 years there under Raymond Bucky Murdoch, who was the coach there, and he was also a great guy. So between the two of the coaches, I think I had two of the best coaches I could ever have. I guess I was lucky, fortunate, at the right time, at the right place, I guess. Well, I think I lost once or twice in high school. That's about it. And in college, I didn't lose any. I remember I was wrestling Borders from Oklahoma. He was tougher than hell. I beat him 7-6. That's kind of tight. A tough go all the way. The strategy was to take him down and get behind. And then I could ride him forever. They couldn't get out once I got on top of them, or they couldn't hold me once I got underneath. And just movement, and turn, and twist and turn, movement. In other words, if you didn't do the right thing at the right time, then you weren't going anywhere. You did the right thing at the right time, and I don't know how I ever learned that, but I just automatically came to me. I was strong, but he was also strong. I just wrestled as hard as I could, and I guess that's what made a difference. Because I wrestled when I was a freshman varsity, I couldn't compete when I was a senior. There's some kind of rule. I don't know I forget what it was. Back then they were drafting people after you got so old, 21 or 22. So I had to go to Fort Knox, Kentucky. That's where I did my basic training, and with tanks. Then I went to Korea, and I had with tanks over there also. Well, the confidence I got from wrestling is that if you're going to want to win, you got to, do things. And that's the same way with being a tank gunner or a driver or whatever. You got to want to do it, and you got to move and do it. It's scary. Of course, I used to stand on top of my tank and wave a flag, and I would upset the enemy. I was awarded Bronze Star because one or two times in our battle, we had to move our tanks beyond the front line and go into enemy territory and just shoot like hell. I couldn't see what I was doing, but I did it anyway.
For our father to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, we are so, so proud of him, and we are so humbled that they have actually looked into him and actually are honoring him to be in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Now, obviously in wrestling, there is a move called the Gizoni Special. I mean, all you guys are nodding your head like you've heard of it, or have you ever used it? But anyway, the technique was invented, is named for our first distinguished member, Tony Babe Gizoni. So here to speak about Babe is his former high school teammate, Dr. Stanley DeBell. We're switching that? Hey, you're not coming up yet. Time. We're switching it out. First, we're gonna hear about Babe from Mike Completti.
Thank you. First, I want to say how honored I am to be here, and I really, really appreciate this from the Gizoni family asking me to say something about Mr. Gizoni. I met Mr. Gizoni back in the mid-'80s when they started a wrestling program called the Troy Wrestling Club in Troy, Michigan. And along with other now Michigan Hall of Fame coaches, the late Don Hill we just lost last week, they had what I would consider the St. Anastasia's Church group of ADD kids all in one room. We didn't have Adderall back then, but we had the Troy Wrestling Club, and that's what it looked like. But, back then, Mr. Gizoni was in his mid-50s, and all of us were in our 10 years old with more energy than you could possibly imagine, and Mr. Gizoni would wear us down. If you guys don't know him, he has so much energy. It's unbelievable. He wrestles, and he lives just like the man you watched on the video downstairs, non-stop motion. So I went to high school in Troy, Athens, and I wrestled with his sons. Jim Gizoni was my team captain when I was a junior, and his other son, Tommy Gizoni, was my roommate at States. And Mr. Gizoni was always there, supporting us and teaching us things and moving 1,000 miles an hour. And I remember one time I got to the regional championship match against this guy my junior year who had beaten me the week before in the district championship. And Mr. Gizoni, who's now 60-ish at the time, grabs me with a cigarette in his hand before the match. He starts telling me, he's talking to me about positioning and angles, and next thing you know, he's snapping me down, arm dragging me with the smoke in his hand, and ripping me around, moving as fast as I've ever seen a 60-year-old man move. And I don't know what he said to me that day because I didn't understand any of it. But I nodded my head, and I went into that finals match a whole different guy. And I was fired up, took a 5-0 lead, before I lost 11-6. It was a good, really good start. But I know that first takedown I had Mr. Gizoni right there, but it was a great day. And I decided to try to learn wrestling, and I fell in love with the sport, and I wanted to go to college. And I knew about Mr. Gizoni. I was starting to learn more about who he was, not just Jimmy and Tommy's dad, and realized that he was undefeated through his college career. And as you all know, that is something. So I decided, I went to junior college, but I decided I was going to keep that same goal like Mr. Gizoni. And it was really close. I almost got, wanted to be undefeated in college, and I'll never forget that day in November 1990 when I lost the match. It was my first college match ever. This close, Mr. Gizoni. I gave it hell. You'll be glad to know it was a Pennsylvania boy from Edinburgh, but it was a tough one. But the more I learned about Mr. Gizoni in my senior year of college, I wrote a little paper on him and started realizing he won the national championship with 5 minutes of riding time, and no one could ride him. He was an automatic escape, and that was something that it sticks with me today as a coach because the kids look at you between periods, and I don't really know what to do half the time. But I know if I had Mr. Gizoni, it'd be down every time. That's an easy one. That would help me. Probably would have helped me when I was in the circle too, if I could get those escapes. But going in those tournaments when I was a college guy and hearing everybody say Gizoni and hearing his name in almost every tournament. Doesn't matter where I was in the U.S. It was really cool to say, hey, I know Mr. Gizoni. I know the Gizoni. That's not exactly how it's supposed to be hit. I'll show you. But now I'm a coach. I coach the Beat the Streets Detroit program, and I try to follow wrestling. I try to learn still because the sport evolves, and a lot of times I watch technique videos. And there's a technique guy I really like to watch who happens to be here, Kerry Kolat. And I overheard him talking to Mr. Gizoni yesterday about how his high school coach, Ernie, assistant coach or something from high school, would always say, hit the Gizoni, hit the Gizoni, hit the Gizoni. And it was in every tough situation that they were in, he would hear, hit the Gizoni. And he says to Mr. Gizoni, he goes, I'm not exactly sure what the Gizoni is. Because I heard it in so many situations. And so I actually showed Kerry Kolat what the Gizoni is. So if that ends up making it into YouTube and I get to watch that technique, that'd be great. So I got to actually show Kerry Kolat the Gizoni, which I thought was a great thing for me yesterday. But I think, Kerry, the Gizoni is different variations of move. It just is basically when you're in a tough situation, like Coach Ernie said, keep moving. And Mr. Gizoni doesn't just do that on the mat. He does it in life, and he just recently broke his hip. And he throws his walker in the back of his 3-wheel bike and he rides his bike up to get his cigarettes and coffee. You know, he's still moving, Carrie. He's still moving, and it's something else with him. And he won the Bronze Star in the Korean War, and he was telling me the story. And he was in a tank, and what did he do in that situation? He just kept moving, got him the Bronze Star. So, wrestling has changed my life. It has probably changed all of your lives and affected you just like it's affected me. But not many people have the opportunity to change the sport or leave their impact on the sport like Mr. Gizoni has. He told me the first time after he moved to Michigan and he went to U of M Michigan dual meet, he heard someone yell, "Hit the Gizoni special, hit the Gizoni special." And that was the first time he heard it. And then it was in a wrestling book. And, you meet people, especially in the wrestling world, you meet people that are really, really special. And that's an appropriate name for the move because in my mind, Mr. Gizoni is special. So thank you, Mr. Gizoni. Congratulations.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Stanley DeBell. True? Here we go.
Tony's the oldest daughter. Tony, you sure your dad's confined to that wheelchair? He is? Okay, babe, you and me after this thing is over with, we're going in the parking lot. Let's see you do that. Oh, he gave me that Pennsylvania sign of friendship. Something like that. It's been 70 years since we communicated, and last night we got together, and it was one of the best moments of my life. Thanks, babe. We both grew up in Washington County, in the southwest corner of Pennsylvania. If you remember your geography, that's where the corner comes straight down. And we wrestled for Washington High School. And we were coached by a man named Doc Harris. He was a man who loved to talk. And he did talk a lot. And Babe became our diplomat. Babe had won one state championship, and we knew Doc wasn't going to kick him off the team. He would have kicked anybody else off the team. And we got together, 5 of us, and said, "Hey, Babe, tell the coach after we do our exercises, we want to start working out. We don't want to listen to him talk." And I said to him, "Babe, be diplomatic." That was 4 syllables. Diplomatic. Babe says, yeah, I'll do it. So he walks up to Doc, and he says, "Doc, you talk too much." And Doc said, "Oh, I talk too much. Okay, boys, pick up your partner and go at it." We went 3 periods, 30 minutes each. And man, we really went at it. We got home at 9 o'clock that night from that workout. Thanks for the diplomacy, babe. Well, Babe was 2 years ahead of me, and I was about 3 weight classes heavier than him. And while he was working that trick-or-treat move called the Gizoni special, you have to know that when I use words like that, it's out of love. I haven't stopped him once. I was 3 weight classes heavier than him. And you'll see the recording that Doc, I forget Doc's last name, not Doc Harris, but Doc Frank. He did the tape of it, and I explained how I was trying to beat him at that darn thing, and I never did beat him. You're sure he's in that wheelchair, Tony? Okay, we're going to the parking lot, baby. Don't forget. Anyway, after I was graduated from college, I wanted to go into coaching. and I went to a school called Trinity High School, also in western Pennsylvania, and I was wondering how we had such a success in that Washington High School program. And it came to me, we were all sons and grandsons and maybe great-grandsons of immigrants. And I was starting to think, where did our state champions come from? John Petronka, he came from either the Soviet Union or the Ukraine. Bob Loreen, where did he come from? France. Stanley Macedas, where? Greece. Tony Gizoni, I can't remember. Italian. From Italy. Another state champion, Anthony Gizoni, Italy. Another state champion, Babe, Italy. He had 3 state championships. We knew Doc wasn't going to kick his butt off the squad. So we asked him to be diplomatic, and you know how that went. Anyway, as a coach, I was trying to figure out how I could capture the work ethic we had on that Washington High School wrestling team. We knew which end of the pick and shovel worked best. We knew how to put a digging bar into the ground and dig it. We were laborers, blue-collar laborers. And we knew how to work. And I'm sort of choked up here. And I was a successful coach, and I'm not wanting to talk about me, but we did it what Babe taught us. We took that special move to us, and I taught it every year. None of us could work it as well as Babe could. I don't think, Babe, you can't even do that now, can you? He keeps giving me that sign. It was hard to teach, and none of the kids could use it. But we also taught him the Gizoni attitude. Anybody who steps on that mat with me is going to be beaten. And it was influential on me as his teammate in high school that I was out there wrestling. I was a journeyman wrestler. I wasn't all that good. And I would see him cheering for me. And I think a guy who's a great wrestler as he is, and we knew he was going to be absolutely great when he was out of high school, and he was cheering for us. He gave us, and through me telling the story, I didn't talk like Doc Harris did, but through me the kids learned that, hey, I can do this too. I got to get one move and perfect it. Then I got to have a backup move and a backup move. And we did a thing called chain wrestling. And that was probably the most instrumental thing that we did. I don't know where I learned that, but somewhere I did, but it was successful. So anyway, the influence of Babe on us was tremendous. And so Babe, on behalf of all of our teammates, thank you.
Legends is presented by the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. If you want to hear more from wrestling's legends, contribute to this ongoing project at hallofamelegends.org/contribute. One-time and small monthly donation options are available. We hope you've enjoyed this look into wrestling history. This has been Legends. I'm Jason Bryant.